Hey up guys, I've got a really useful video today that's only about 10 minutes long, so not very long, and it's just learning how to repair textured plastics. So a lot of cars have got these on them and they can get scuffed like any part of the car can, they can get damaged, and I'm going to show you a really simple, cheap way of repairing those areas and making them look, with a few little tricks, kind of like the factory finish, what they're supposed to look like. So I'm just putting a bit of masking tape on the body coloured area. We don't want to be catching that with any kind of sandpaper or any sanding tools, so just for the sake of a few seconds you may as well mask these bits off, and then it's going to save any drama down the line if you did manage to catch the bodywork. So that's just what I've done there. So first we're going to go for quite a coarse grit, which is 120 grit, and I'm just using a block. You can use a piece of wood, you might have a proper sanding block. That was just a bit of cork block that I had lying around, because we just want a nice flat even surface to wrap the sandpaper around. So basically what we're doing at this point is we're just literally rubbing down the scuff mark where it was damaged, and the 120 grit should make quite light work of that. So obviously 120 grit is going to leave some pretty harsh sanding marks and sanding scratches, so we're just going to hit that again in the same area with some 180 grit, wrap around the block exactly the same, and take it off the block if you need to just obviously do any intricate areas such as this little folded in swage line bit which is next to the bodywork. Just keep checking your progress, don't rush the process. There's no need to rush it. So as you can see, I'm making sure that each bit of the scuff mark where I think the customer caught a wall next to the driveway, it just took a few chunks out of that. So we're just going to reprofile the the plastic trim. So I'm just going to speed that up a bit. We don't want to see me just sanding forever, it's boring. I don't like to waste time in my videos. So that was 320, so we've done 120 grit followed by 180. It's pretty much system what you'll see me doing a lot, and then 320. If we skip the 180 grit, for example, then the 320 isn't enough of a grit to take out the 120. So obviously we're going to do it in stages, and like I do oh so often with this channel and obviously day to day, I go 120, 180, 320, 400 or something similar to that. It depends what sandpaper you can get hold of, but it's pretty accessible anywhere. These grades, they're not difficult to find. So as you can see, I've sanded the area down, and you can already see we're starting to get a bit more of a uniform finish as we work our way up the grade. So the 400 grit, it's still quite coarse, but it's getting to a stage now where it looks pretty good. And then I just hit it with some red scotch or grey scotch, and I just keyed up that whole area. So not just the damaged bit, it was the whole bit of plastic where I want to take the repair to. So I'm just showing this bit down here because some of you guys may have a DA or an orbital polisher, either an air one like I've got here, or maybe you've got one for detailing your car. Just whack a sanding pad on there if you can. Them hook and loop pads, they're ideal really because you can use them by hand, but you can also stick them on a machine, and that'll obviously make the process a lot faster, and you can remove any scuff marks much more easy than if you were doing it by hand. But it doesn't really matter. I've showed both methods with this video because I want to be versatile with my content, and I don't know what you guys have got, so I try and cover all bases. So what I'm doing here is, which is a cool little trick, we've obviously scotched up and keyed up the area where we're going to, in the later stages, we're going to put a bit of texture spray on there. So if you ever want to kind of restore the plastic, then using a heat gun fairly close to the plastic, as you can see there, it will sort of bring the plastic back to some kind of original finish, because textured plastic over time it does dull. So when we apply the texture paint, which I'm going to show in a minute, it does dry pretty black, so, and it's quite dark, so you know, we might be using a couple of these little tricks down the line, either heating it or scotching it a bit, and I'll show you that as well. So this is the Pro XL texture spray. This is my favourite spray. It says black on the can because I think that is the most versatile colour, and it's not completely black. It's as black as it needs to be, and I'll show you a little trick how you can dull it down as well further in the video. Okay, so what we're doing with this part of the repair now is we're just dusting on, and I probably refer to it as dusting on, just a kind of light layer of the texture spray. So what we're trying to achieve is we're trying to just build up a bit of a texture layer. So it's not like when you're painting a car with rattle cans or a spray gun, if whatever setup you've got, where you're trying to get this really uniform kind of even finish all the way across. So we're just kind of dusting it and flicking on, you know, the colour so that it kind of drops on nice, because it will leave a bit of a texture. So I'm just checking there that it's drying all right. I've just had a quick touch with my finger, and we've just been kind of gently heat drying it, force drying it with the heat gun. So I think we're ready for a bit more paint. So this texture spray doesn't come out like normal spray, it comes out really rough. So that's kind of what we want, because we're trying to recreate that texture effect. So we're just dusting a second layer of that onto the area, and where it fades out, we're just kind of flicking the texture spray over that area. So we're kind of looking to blend, obviously, the original effect, which is probably quite faded, with the brand new effect, which is obviously going to look really coloured and black. So yeah, there's a bit of a close-up of what it should look like, and this is the really cool trick. Okay guys, this is how we're going to change the effect of it and start to make it look more factory and more original. As you can see, I've just backmasked off that inner edge to create a nice soft edge, which is just basically sticking your masking tape on and kind of folding it back so it's not a harsh line. And I've just been using a bit of grey scotch dry over the textured area, or a bit of sandpaper, perhaps 800 grit dry over the area, and I've just knocked it back with the grey scotch or the sandpaper, and that is really how we're going to try and achieve the finish what we're after. So I wasn't quite happy with the finish with the first two coats and then knocking it back, so we're just going to lay down a nice uniform layer of texture spray, and we're just going to do it again. So we've built up the layers, and now I'm really lightly knocking that back. I don't want to push the scotch too far into it and create any really flat spots, because you're effectively kind of sanding off the top. But this is how we're going to create the really uniform factory finish, what usually ends up looking pretty good, to be fair. Otherwise it just looks too new and fake and textured, and that's not what we want, because these panels often fade, and this is, you know, this car's a few year old, so it's not brand new anymore. So what we're trying to recreate some kind of almost half faded finish. So I've just got a dry microfiber cloth, and I'm just taking off any excess sort of overspray or anything that's sitting up a bit too much, and just playing around with the scotch, like I say, just lightly feathering that in. And what you should be seeing is a bit of a uniform original finish being created. Now at any point you can just dust a bit more texture spray on if you're not happy with it, or if you've rubbed it back too much, like I did a minute ago. But I think with this repair it's starting to look pretty decent. Okay, so I'm really happy with that actually, and I think it looks pretty original. We've keyed it up, well, we've sanded the damage out, we've keyed it up, we've protected the body work, paint work, the original paint that's on the car, and now we've just dusted a bit of that texture spray on. So as you can see, that's pretty decent, to be fair. Like I say, this car's, it was a good few years old, so we've had to try and recreate some kind of original effect of a car that's, you know, been on the road for a few years, and I'm pretty happy with that. The customer was really happy with it, and I think that's a really cool, cheap repair. So cheers guys, thanks for watching. Please hit subscribe, please like, please comment. Check me out next week for the next video.